So there was a black nurse that says that she was marginalized, isolated, and stereotyped because of her race for 2 years when she worked at one of Colorado's top hospitals. They said discrimination prompted her termination and groundless charges against her. They said the lawsuit that she had filed details the constant racism Don Quinnick Joppy is they had to navigate while she cared for the most fragile patients at the Medical Center of Aurora. Now, some of you brothers and sisters from Colorado, you may know that particular place. She said she was humiliated and ignored by her coworkers, denied growth opportunities, and treated differently from her white peers. Say the biggest blows when she was fired, stripped of her nursing license, and criminalized for a 97-year-old patient's death, according to her complaint. Now, her attorney said a string of malicious actions subjected her to a hostile work environment and retaliation for voicing her complaints. It said they want the hospital and two top officials to be held accountable and for the nurse to be compensated for her suffering. Sister Joppy, who was once an award-winning nurse, is unemployed and without permanent housing. It said the hospital has denied the claims in the complaint. She said it's wild. Said my whole life has been turned upside down. I never killed anyone. Said I'm a great nurse. And a lot of black women are. A lot of black women are great nurses. Let me tell you something. Just call it what it is. Black women, I've seen Filipino women, different African women that I've just seen just from my experience have been the most best nurses. The ones you really don't want, and I'm not saying all, but I'm just calling it what it is. A lot of times you don't want too many white female nurses. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, especially if you're in pain as a black person. You need black people for sure to understand you because there's already a thing called medical racism. And every area in America is festered with white supremacists. And I told y'all, the white supremacists that's in the Boogaloo Boys and in the Proud Boys and the Klan, all of them, that's the extremist. You have the everyday white supremacists as in every area of life. And January the 6th showed you that there is an everyday white supremacist. Some of you work right next to these people. Some of these people are your supervisors on jobs, etc. Now, they said the sister was a 3-time nominee of the nursing industry's Top Daisy Award and honored with Excellence Award from American Heart Association for performing CPR and saving a patient's life. It said she always received rave reviews, and when one recovering patient from the intensive care unit where she worked described her as absolutely amazing. And she also received a favorable performance review from her supervisor after her first year at the medical center. Now, however, the lawsuit alleged that the sister was not always met with warm regard, say, from other supervisors on the unit. Said a black nurse often yelled at, or she was yelled at, and criticized for things that non-black coworkers were not. That doesn't surprise me, and that doesn't surprise a lot of you either. It said she was assigned 3 patients in ICU with no backup when the nurse to patient ratio should have been 2-to-1. As her immediate supervisor ignored her complaints, according to the lawsuit. It said the treatment got so bad that the sister tried to transfer out to ICU, and the complaint alleged that the effort was shut down when the hospital leadership put her on a retaliatory performance improvement plan. It said she was chastised for improper body language and tone, and was instructed to remain respectful toward the charge nurses and any other employee within the hospital. Let me tell y'all something else. When you hold a license, like a nursing license or anything like that, and these white supremacists got an end for you, there's times to make sure you document all the racism, white supremacy, and then it's a time to fight, then there's a time to leave. You have to understand that. Because when you start seeing it's too much against you and you by yourself, document all the racism, get your lawyer, file your lawsuit, and go elsewhere. Don't let these white supremacists mess your license up. Whatever kind of license that you hold, whether it's a nursing license, whether it's a CDL, whatever professional license that you have, if you realize there's too much going on, you don't have to hold on to that, because that sister could have easily left that place and say, you know what, I'm turning in my resignation. Matter of fact, I'm leaving today. It's a hostile work environment. I'm leaving. And make sure that's documented. You're leaving because of a hostile work environment. And you leave. She could have been a travel nurse. Travel nurses are making bank. They are killing the game right now, the travel nurses. She didn't have to put up with that. And sometimes Y'all got to know when to hold and when to fold. You got to know when to do that. Okay. Don't let these people mess you up like that. Don't do it. Now, say in one instance, a charge nurse, Michael Olszewski, sent an email announcing an opportunity for staff to get training on caring for patients with heart problems. They say when the sister inquired, this guy told her working with heart patients require much deeper critical thinking and much better organization skills. Oh, the same old white supremacist trope that black people are stupid. See, when he said that alone, I was like, you know what? Go ahead and keep that job. Now, the same guy that was a charge nurse told the sister that since she was good at cleaning, she should clean his house and clip his dog's toenails. That's what he said to the sister. You understand? Just straight up racism. Like I said, you don't have to put up with racism, folks, on the job, especially when you have a professional license like that. Now these white supremacists had messed off this sister's nursing license that she worked so hard for. And I know she's a good nurse. You can't tell me she's not. I know she is. Everybody says she had, all kind of different rewards and everything. So now let's get to the 97-year-old man. So they said, but in May 2019, she stayed after her shift to help another nurse carry out a terminally ill patient's end-of-life instructions. And they said the instructions to remove all supporting equipment, keeping the patient with septic shock and non-survivable multi-organ failure alive came from a doctor per the family's request. The doctor told another nurse who took over the 97-year-old man's care after the sister shift was over, and that nurse delegated the doctor's orders to Joppy, the sister. Now, they said the sister called the respiratory therapist to remove the patient's ventilator, but the therapist was busy and walked Joppy through turning off the ventilator instead. It said he came and disconnected the ventilator shortly, but failed to remove the intubation tube, which was his responsibility. It said sometime later, the other nurse, Karen Welter, cuffed the tube and the patient died. It said his death certificate reportedly says he died of natural causes, more specifically septic shock caused by pneumonia and bowel infractions. The supervising nurse later raised questions about how the staff handled the procedure. After investigation, the hospital fired Joppy for completing the measure without an order in the patient's chart and not waiting on the respiratory therapist to arrive. Now, when it comes to certain things, you must say, I'll walk you through it. Don't ever do it. Just don't ever do it. Because like I said, every story that we come up with here is always a learning experience. If it's somebody else's job on the job to do something, you say, nope, I'm not doing it. You do it. I'll walk you through it. No, you do it. Because when the people are racist against you on the job, you gotta go by the letter of the rule book. Every step of the way, the letter of the law, because they're looking to get at you. And you have to understand, if she was a white woman, this wouldn't have been a problem. But it was already racist, right? So what ended up happening, the hospital officials referred the case to the Attorney General's office, and the sister was charged with manslaughter, negligent death of an at-risk person, a year after she was fired. It said in September, nearly a year after the Attorney General decided to prosecute the sister, all charges were dismissed in the interest of justice. She says, I took this case on because I thought it was particularly egregious that they would do this to someone's life. Joppy's attorney, Jennifer Robinson. It says she's pretty much homeless now, hasn't recovered since all this happened. Who's going to hire a nurse who has manslaughter charges against her, even if they are dropped? It say it's not cool to treat people this way. They say the Medical Center of Aurora's director of marketing and public relations, Rachel Robinson, told the Denver Post that the allegations made against the hospital in the complaint are unfounded. Okay, so they said that Robinson said the Attorney General had access to the incident report through the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, who made the independent decision to investigate the occurrence involving Ms. Joppy on its own. Now, and probably 9 times out of, well, I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, it probably was a white gentleman. But this is the thing here. And I hate to hear the sister was treated this way. Y'all pay attention to when it's sometimes, listen, it's okay to back out of a fight. Listen, if you too outnumbered, you have no backup, none. You got to know when to hold and when to fold. Even militaries understand sometimes it's better to retreat, regroup, and go at it again. It's okay to retreat sometime. I know sometimes some of us thinking we going to just be the lone warrior and fight everything. No, it's a time to fight. It's a time to retreat. It's a time to hold. It's a time to fold. And based off of this story, this sister should have folded a while back and say, you know what? Let me go do travel nurse, because right now travel nurse is popping. I can make so much money right now. And they begging for travel nurses. They begging for them. Okay. So, with that being said, I hope this sister, get everything, get her money back. That's for sure. I hope she get her nursing license back. She needs to get it back. That'll be the main thing I'll be trying to get back, is my license, because that's my career. But don't let them dog pile on you if you don't have no way to defend yourself, because them people love, let me say, it's not about getting fired. Them people love to take black people's professional licenses from them. Don't let them do it, wherever it may be. And you work in an environment where there's too many white supremacists, you should be on the horn telling black people, don't go to the medical center of Aurora. There's a lot of white supremacists working there. You don't want to be there. They treat black people horribly. This is where we need you nurses and doctors who are black to come out and point out these hospitals, so we know to avoid certain hospitals. Because black people, in the past will say, ooh, don't go to that hospital, because some people go in, they don't come out of that one. We need to know that. Where the white supremacists at in medicine? We need to know. But y'all let me know in the comments y'all think about this, horrible story about our sister here. She's trying to get, her license back and suing. And since they dropped the charges, that should be the slam dunk. Right. But, when it comes to black people, you got to fight like hell for everything you try to get.